When we think about communicating with our customer, it's really easy to get the cart before the horse.
Once you have your strategy, the final piece is going to be your branding. It's more than just selecting the right colors and the logo for your website, your brochures and things. Think experience, and that becomes your branding.
If we're not going to start with branding, how do we get started on the right foot?
But I do know with websites, you literally have 3 seconds before someone decides whether or not they're going to scroll down to look at more. So you're really quick. Here's the problems we solve. By the way, here's how we solve them.
All that and more on this episode 485 of the Working Cows podcast, brought to you by Kaizen Solutions and Arrow L Ranch.
Welcome to the podcast that gives producers a platform to discuss and share paradigm-challenging practices. Practices that have increased the effectiveness of their operation and the joy that their families have received from this lifestyle.
Howdy, everybody. It's Clay Connery, host of the Working Cows podcast, back with the first official episode of 2026. I'm very excited to be here in the new year. Wanted to give a big tip of the hat to Understanding Ag. A couple of years of partnership with them was so educational for me. I trust it was as well for you. They're just great to work with. Really appreciate their efforts, and looking forward to the next year on the Working Cows podcast, and partnering with new brands and businesses to let you know about the great work that they're doing. And if you are a brand or a business looking to let the regenerative agriculture community know about the work that you're doing, head on over to the contact page at workingcows.net/contact and drop me a line, and we'll start talking about what that might look like. Very much excited to be joined once again by Matt Stone, and he's going to help us think about how do we start on the right foot when it comes to crafting our message. We always want to jump straight to branding, but branding is actually the last thing, as you heard there in the cold open, that he says he would look at. He has a few steps before that he would encourage people to check out. So looking forward to that conversation with him. Before we jump into that conversation, though, I do want to say that there's a new logo. Maybe it took you a little more time to find the podcast in your app today. The new logo, new year, and new survey. So there's a survey up. It's in the show notes page for this episode. There'll be links for it there at workingcows.net/485. You can go there and find that. And would just really appreciate it if you take the survey. You'll be entered in a giveaway. I've got mugs, hats, and a book, Bondsma's Man Must Measure, will be part of that giveaway. I got 3 copies of that to give away. I got a couple of dozen mugs to give away. I've got, in sets of 4, I've got a few hats, just a few hats left. So there'll be kind of a grand prize, those guys that get the hats, the mugs, and the book. And then there will be some lower prizes for people who just get the books or just get the mugs. But just wanting to get some information from you to help communicate to advertisers so that you hear advertisements that are more relevant to you, and just learn a little bit more about who's listening to the Working Cows podcast. So if you'd please go and take that survey and include your email in there. All of the other information will be as anonymous as possible, but we'll use that email to get in touch with you if you do win. So really appreciate you guys and all of the listening over the years, just past 8 years of doing this, and it's been a great journey, and looking forward to another great year on the Working Cows podcast. So without further ado, here is my discussion with Matt Stone. Matt, thanks for joining me on the Working Cows podcast. Welcome back.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me back. It's good to be here.
Yeah, very good. And I always enjoy talking to you about the marketing side of the business and about how we go about communicating with our customer. You know, we've talked about how to find who your customer is and how to communicate with them and some of those things. But it's easy for us to get the cart before the horse, right? A lot of times in this, and think about, I want to have the logo that looks right and all of these things in place. And then we forget that there are some steps that come before that and some things that we need to make sure that we have in place before we get down to colors on a website and some of those things. So, how do you think about that? What are some of the things that you're encouraging people to really pay attention to before they get to maybe some of the other things that are maybe a little more flashy and attractive?
Yeah. Well, and I always refer to that as the branding, the experience a prospective customer has. And then once they become your customer, what's their experience? It's all related to the experience, and that's your brand. But before you get to that, you really need to have your strategy nailed down, and then even before that, you need to have your marketing message, the words, because as we know, words are very important. I mean, it's words that created the earth and
Hmm.
everything in it. And so the words are very important. Can't stress it enough. Because with the right words, you can actually have a really lousy website. You can have a really lousy brochure, whatever it is. But if you got the right words, that is what moves people.
Yeah. No, that's a good way of thinking about it for sure. And so I think it probably comes down to a choice of words, this word rather than that word, right? Or is
Right.
that is part of it, correct?
Yes, it is. And there's several steps you go through, and each step you want the right word or right words.
Sure. Are there places that you start before that, or maybe let's just start at the beginning? Where would you start? How would you get started in this process?
Well, the very first place I would start is really nailing down who you want to sell to. Who is your ideal customer? Although we would like to sell to everybody, we cannot, nor should we, in my opinion, sell to everybody. There's somebody out there, there's a certain profile that your product really is ideal for. And then take a producer who is doing soil health, regenerative ag. They have a different customer than the producer who is doing the conventional side. Completely different customers. Now they can be selling to both, but that's not who you're looking for. That's not who you're going to focus on.
And we talked about that, right? I mean, we kind of went through an exercise for how we are going to find those people and some of those things. And I think the thing that always stands out to me about that is the fact that it's every business, it's the same. Again, and I say this a lot, ranching is a business.
Hmm.
And so the principles that apply to other businesses apply to ranching. Now, we have subsidized poor performing businesses by telling us that it's a great lifestyle. And so we've tolerated these businesses that kind of break even maybe. And rather than saying, no, this is a business and we're going to treat it like a business. And so we're going to apply these principles that help other businesses be successful to our business. And, knowing your customer, who is
Hmm.
actually the target, right? And in podcasting, they call that your avatar. Who is your ideal listener? Who
Right.
is that person who is you're targeting with your content? And you want to produce even down to the length of the content you're producing. Like, are these people who have a 45-minute commute or a 25-minute commute?
Hmm.
Well, then your episode needs to be 25 or 45 minutes long, depending on the length of the commute of your target listener. And so even down to that level, and then some people go so far as naming them, right? We are targeting Suburban Sally. She drives a GMC Yukon. It's got 4 seats that are always up and some that are folded down for soccer, equipment in the back. And right, that
Right.
level of detail is part of this process, right?
Yes. Yes, it is. And you can actually have more than one ideal customer. And so let's use the producer who is interested in selling direct to the to direct market. And I use direct market because it can be multifaceted uh, avenues there. One can be maybe you want to focus on retail or excuse me, restaurant Maybe you want to focus on grocery stores, or maybe it is direct to the end consumer who's actually going to prepare and eat that food. Each one of those can be an ideal customer. You can have multiple ideal customers. I would recommend you start with one, and when you can get that one nailed down, get another one. As long as it's not going divergent, like, my ideal customer is, Clay. He wants local beef, and then my other, ideal customer is a sale barn. Two completely different avenues there. They're going two different directions. So you want them to work with each other, or at least be going in the same direction as each other.
Yep.
And once you've identified that, now you can actually really get in depth or involved into identifying the wording that you need to come up with to appeal to that customer.
Let's take a quick break and hear a word from our sponsor today, Kaizen Solutions. What if 2026 looks exactly like 2025? Same stress, same pressure, same feeling that you're working harder but not getting ahead. Not because you're lazy, not because you're broken, but because you're running on the same internal programming. You want a better business and ultimately a better life. At Kaizen, we believe your first and best investment should always be in you, the owner, the manager, the leader. Your results don't come from effort, they come from identity. That's why we created the 100X Breakthrough Program. We don't hype you up, we don't throw motivation at you. We help you reprogram the way you think, feel, and show up so your actions and results finally change and align with what you truly want, a better business and a better life. If you're driven, if you know you're capable of more, and you're tired of repeating the same year on a faster treadmill, we focus on the foundation. It's time for a breakthrough. Visit kznsolutions.ca and schedule your free instant impact coaching session. Because your next level doesn't start with doing more, it starts with becoming more. And I was just did an episode with Josh Kirpin, and we were talking about leadership principles, and he mentioned, if you want to make an investment in yourself, start by investing in your strengths, not in your weaknesses.
Yeah.
And it kind of shocked me awake, like, oh yeah, that's exactly the same thing that soil health gurus will tell you, right? If you want to make a soil health improvement, start on your best ground, not your worst ground.
Yeah.
If you want to do an amendment, start on your best ground, not your worst ground, because you've already got that biological function happening. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to do a lot of work to get it started. It's already going, and then it can take that amendment and go farther than you would with the same amount of application on your worst ground. And so I think even then you can apply that to your marketing and say, let's try to find and talk to these people more. And once we've kind of feel like we've really found all the people in that niche, if there's somebody that's parallel to that we can reach with another product or service, then we can focus on them, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, so we've found our target market, and then how do we go about the actual choosing the words that are going to resonate with them and the actual marketing to them, speaking to them?
Okay, so what you're really doing is you're putting together a story. And when I say a story, it's not my story, the producer's story. That's important, but that's after you got them and they're interested to know more. Then you can tell them about your story, but it's their story. And so your customer, what are they looking for? As an example, if I'm going to go direct to market with, we'll use organic products. What does your customer want? If you are conventional or even regenerative, what does your customer want? So you have to understand, and that's why you got to start with your ideal customer, because once you have that down, it's nice if you fully understand your customer. Because now you do know what they want. And if you don't know, you literally, I've picked up the phone and I call people, this is what we're doing. I wanted to confirm my thoughts were correct. And they're happy to help because they're looking for it. They're looking for your product.
Certainly.
So
Yeah,
that'd be the first step.
sure. And are there resources or tools or ways to go about finding those that information?
Well, the best thing to do is really contact those people. So let's say maybe you want to do restaurant chains. Call them up, ask them, what are you looking for? Talk to chefs. Um, and I always encourage people to start with your network. I mean, what is it? We're separated by 6 degrees from everybody. Somebody you know out there knows at least 1 or 2 chefs that are your ideal customer.
Hmm.
So pick up the phone, start calling people you know. And at the same time, you get the message out, this is what we're going to start. Because like it was told to me years and years ago, is nothing happens until you have a conversation. You can do social media, you can do your website. Until you actually talk to someone, nothing happens. And so pick up the phone and start calling is the best way.
And it's a simple conversation. What are you looking for? That's basically the crux of the conversation, right?
Yes, yeah. Now, with some people, you may have to ask them to go a little more into detail. As in the financial world, that was my previous background. We said there's 5 whys. Ask why 5 times.
Mhm.
But if they say, "Well, what I'm looking for is an affordable meat, animal protein." Okay, what is it about the affordable protein that is so important to you? And so you ask the 5 whys, or ask why is that important 5 times. And when you really get down to the 5th time, you've pretty much scraped away all the clutter, and you're really getting down to what it is. Now, it may not take 5 times, but that was what we always said was ask what's important about that 5 times.
Certainly. And so we've found our customer. We've had that conversation with them. We've asked them why, however many times it takes, up to 5 times, maybe more, to really get down to the kernel of the issue. And that, I mean, this is ultimately, this is free market capitalism. We are solving problems for people, right? That's build a better mousetrap in the world to beat a path to your door, right? That because you're solving the problem of, hey, this trap doesn't kill mice, doesn't catch mice, build a better one. Or now we've got a lot of pretty darn good reusable mousetraps, right? Right.
Mhm.
And easier to set. They're easy to set. And so, so those are evidences of innovations in the marketplace that people are appreciating, right? But it's solving that problem of, I don't want mice in my house. If I do have mice in my house, I want to find a way to bait them and kill them.
Right.
And
Yep.
get them out of my house, right? And so just this problem solving somebody's problem, they've got a pain point and you're there with a product or service to solve that problem. So again, looking at it as a business and understanding what it is you're doing. But then what comes next? How do we take that information that we got from the conversation and turn it into something that we can use to communicate more broadly to people maybe who are similar, who are also, in our example, chefs in restaurants? How do we take the conversation, or is it necessary maybe to have more than one conversation? Like, you talk to the one chef, now you're in the network, say, hey, do you have other people that I should talk to? Numbers for other chefs that I should call and talk to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I encourage you to talk to as many ideal customers as you can to get the information. I don't think you can talk to too many, because you really start getting a better idea of what they're looking for. So the first step is to find out what is it they want. But by doing, well, what's important about that, or asking why 5 times, what you're uncovering is their problem. Well, I want a local animal protein, beef, we'll say. I want a local beef. Okay, what's important about that? By asking them that, you uncover, just as you're saying, the problem. So they want local beef, but you're also identifying what the problem is. Now, I'll back up a little bit. I'm using the term problem, but I use that loosely because what you're really trying to identify is how are they trying to survive and or thrive? By the basic instincts of everybody, that's all we're trying to do. And so, but maybe it's not a problem, but you're trying to identify how are you going to help them survive, or how are you going to help their business thrive? And that's identifying the problem.
Hmm.
And there's really actually two levels of problems we have here. There's an external, which is more physical, and we can say economics. Example is that, or maybe just the fact I can't find local beef is my external problem. My internal problem is maybe they're so hyped up on hormones and antibiotics. Yeah, it's local, but I can't justify serving that to my customers. So, and they're frustrated. The internal problem is more emotional. It's internal. And depending on the level of the buying decision determines if you need to meet their external problem or the internal problem. The bigger the decision, it's going to be internal.
Hmm.
Make it flip. So if I tell my wife, I'm hungry, you want to go out and get something to eat? Well, that hunger is an external problem. Pretty easy, low risk. But if we're trying to make a major change here on our sheep ranch, it might have to take the internal problem. So, but you're trying to uncover both of those.
Right. Internal problems tend to be something people are they willing to spend more money to solve those problems generally, or is that not necessarily what you're saying?
I think it goes to the value of it. So yes, in a way. So let's use our restaurant. They still need to have a price on their menu to serve their customer, and they still need to make a certain profit margin. So, I mean, it's just not buying more expensive meat. It's buying a meat that they can justify at a price that they can charge. So there's a lot of components to it. Usually it does, because it is serving or meeting their problem and providing the value that they need.
Let's take a quick break and hear a word from our sponsor today, the Arrow L Ranch. Arrow L Ranch offers a unique option for those looking for bulls that are developed in a forage-centric operation. Their February 8th online sale with DV Auction will feature coming 2-year-old multi-breed composite bulls that are developed on grass and forage. The bulls come with a 4-year warranty and offer the simplest crossbreeding solution available. If you want to easily leverage the power of heterosis in your cow herd and add marketing flexibility to your calves, find the Arrow L Ranch sale page on DV Auction, closing February 8th. We've kind of had all these conversations, and we are understanding what kind of problem we're solving for the person we're communicating with, right? Internal or external. Then I suppose depending on which kind of problem we're solving, then that's going to dictate kind of the tone of our message, right?
It is. And what a lot of people want to do is they'll go into more of a paragraph form. No, forget paragraph. You want to make it quick, something that I can scan, because, and I'm going to use a website, for example. Depending on what you're selling and what kind of business you're in, people go to your website to determine if they're going to do business with you. In a direct market, maybe not so, because if they're coming to your website, odds are they're coming here to place an order. Amazon, you go there to place an order. Okay. But what you're doing is you want your website, your brochures, the emails you send out, easy and short, so that people can scan it and pick out the main points that you're trying to get across. And so when you're identifying those problems, you want to identify a minimum of 3 problems, both external and 3 internal problems, minimum. and be able to put that in a bullet point or just a real short 1 or 2 sentences, nothing long. You got to remember, they need to scan it. And I don't know what it is with brochures or flyers, but I do know with websites, you literally have 3 seconds before someone decides whether or not they're going to scroll down to look at more. I'm guessing it's probably the same with a brochure, maybe a little more because it's in their hands.
Yeah, and so deliver um, probably on that promise to solve these problems sooner rather than later. Is that kind of the lesson there?
Yeah, so you're really quick. Here's the problems we solve. By the way, here's how we solve them.
Mhm.
We are your solution.
Yeah, for sure. And then what are we what is helping us? I mean, all of this information is kind of helping us develop the tone, and we're deciding on these three external problems and these three internal problems. Then are all of those ending up on in the content that we create, or are we picking one of each or a couple from one column and dealing with the other column later? How do we make that decision?
You want the 3 problems that you believe are going to make things move the most, move your customer. And I'll use, um, myself as an example. So the 3 top problems that we've identified is that people are tired of refined and denatured foods, and they're a low quality food, and they're concerned about the ingredients in their food. And so those are combination, and depending on how you put it on there, you can put in bold or not bold, just a real short bullet, the external. And then if you want, you could go ahead and put a one line underneath that as to what the internal problem that's associated with the external, or a combination, just whatever you feel. Uh, So if somebody's coming to you to purchase a couple of cuts of steaks, maybe 2, 3 pounds of hamburger, maybe it's just the external because it's not a real big risk to them. But if they're coming to purchase a whole beef or a half a beef, now the price is it may take them to say, well, the internal, because depending on their perspective, it has more risk involved.
Right. So it's a mixture of
Y-
whichever three you think are going to make the most impact in moving that.
Yeah. Yes.
Certainly.
And if you have interview, say 5, 6, 7 of your ideal customers, and you start seeing common threads pop up, they're automatically going to tell you here's our main problems. You don't have to guess at it. I mean, and that's what we did is we talked to several people who would be our ideal customer, and consistently those 3 things came up for us.
Right. Yep. And you kind of just go where they are.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the idea. And, even up to and including Facebook groups, right? Or, social media, places where they're congregating, you can find them there, develop relationships in some of those places too, right?
Yeah, you can find them there, and if you're just looking at asking them these questions, I would really look at your personal network, the people that you communicate daily, weekly basis, and then you can go down to the Facebook groups, unless it's your Facebook group, of course, and maybe you've been in a Facebook group long enough, you've got the friends there. Yeah, absolutely.
We've, been on this journey, making the contacts, making the interviews, finding those common threads, that they're sharing with us that are their problems. We've chosen the 3 that we think are gonna move the needle, the most, and then are we to the point of choosing actual words and phrases yet, or are there more steps?
Well, and all of that is part of the messaging. Those are the words and phrases you will use in your marketing messaging.
The ones that they've shared with you.
Yes,
Yep.
use their words.
Yep.
That's what, because they're, I mean, if especially if you get the same 2 or 3 of them pop up, that's their words. They're going to recognize it, and they're going to say, "This is the person. This is the producer. Let me learn more about him."
Yep.
And so you provide them with, "This is how we can help you with your problems," and how you help them with their problems. You won't. I mean, that's things that you'll need to develop. So once you identify their problems, now you come, okay, how does our product, how does our service help them survive and thrive, solve those problems?
Sure. And what's the method, or what are the resources to help just understand what's going to make the impact? I mean, I guess the main thing is we've talked to the people and we've gotten their words, and we're using their words in our marketing. That's
Mhm.
probably the main thing, right?
Yes.
Uh, and then are there things that you would recommend as far as places or resources, or even like just the thesaurus, go and find these words are, other ways of saying this idea, or, do you understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah. How kind of wordsmith it?
Right. Yes.
Well, and for their problems, I wouldn't wordsmith it, because if that's what they're saying, use their words.
Sure.
For your solution, and I hate to say this, but you might try AI. So you could go in and say, my customer's problem is they're tired of refined and denatured foods. We are all natural. How's the best way of saying that or providing our solution to them, or something like that?
Yeah, no, I think that is, I agree with you. Being hesitant about using that, because I don't know how obvious it is. The AI videos are pretty obvious right now. I think they're going to become less obvious more and more.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, and maybe those people who have a well-tuned eye for what is the written word, like I have a more well-tuned ear for what's actual real audio and what's AI, and that's usually what gives it away for me. And so maybe there are people out there who have that same kind of well-tuned eye for AI words, that you want to be careful about relying too heavily on that, right? But that is a tool that exists for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we can
And,
consider.
and what I've learned is that over the years is that if you know your product is, you can solve this person's product, you're going to be able to tell them in one short statement how you have the solution. And I don't think most people will need the AI. It will come to you, and they could always call you up and ask, "What do you think, Clay? How's this sound?"
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so have we covered the process? Is there more to the process of developing that marketing language and the message that we're trying to convey?
yes. So a little bit more about the problem is, this isn't something that you absolutely need, but if you can identify who the bad guy is.
Hmm.
Now, this isn't to speak poorly about somebody who isn't doing what you're doing. I'm talking about who's the person or the thing that we can blame. And it doesn't have to be a person. It can, but you want to attach a personality to that. For example, I can make refined and denatured foods a bad guy. And I haven't done anything to downplay anybody else and what they're doing, but it's a fact. And so you're further appealing to them. Now, and that you don't need it, but that's just a little extra. Uh, One thing that you want to also come up with is, okay, people will see that, okay, here's my problem. They understand me. because they have a solution. They've experienced this. So you want to also show them that where your credibility or how you understand what they're going through is. So that would be your next step is the credibility. And you can do that simply through uh, giving them your real short personal experience of how you got here or why you're doing it. For us, in our purpose, it was health concerns and the issues we ran into with the food we were eating.
Hmm.
And then with that, to simplify it, you can have no more, or I wouldn't go any more than 4 steps. I would prefer 3 steps of how you do business with me.
Hmm.
And it can be like for us, you sign up for membership, you place an order. No, step 3 is you enjoy a nutrient-dense meal with your family. That simple. And what you're trying to do is get that bridge created from taking the step of purchasing to actually the end result. Like I said, 3.
Yep.
If you haven't noticed, I'm really big on 3.
Yeah, it's good. I think that is a common number for sure.
Yeah.
That as far as what's digestible, I think.
Yes.
So, yeah. So identify, for maybe lack of a better word, the villain.
Yeah.
And then identify or communicate your own credibility, and the credibility is connected to your story and how what you're doing solved the problem that you were experiencing. Are there other ways of communicating that credibility too, or is that the main one?
No, there's others. I mean, you can have testimonies. Like I had somebody, Rebecca, she says, "This is the best honey we've ever had."
Mm.
Another guy said, "I don't know what you're doing, but this is the best lamb I've ever tasted. It's so tender."
Mm.
Just get your testimonies. If you have statistics about your food that it's nutrient dense, and here's the test that we've run and what it showed, perfect. That's great. It really lends, and you want that credibility to actually address the problems that they're having.
Sure.
Or if you don't have that, you want to explain to them so they know that you understand where they're coming from and you share the same problems as they do.
And shorter is better, would you say, as far as testimonies go?
Yes. And so there's one way you get test or ask for testimonials. The worst way is to just say, "Hey, can you give me a testimonial?" uh, don't do that. Say, ask them what was the problem, or what was the problem that our products help uh, solve for you. Okay, great. Can you give us a testimonial about how this product solved your problem?
Hmm.
So you're very specific.
Yeah, very good. And then would there be a place for, say, like, top line, first thing they see is this testimonial, at least with regard to this developing the credibility process, and then there's a place for maybe a longer testimonial in another place, or lower down, or a different place, or kind of always just keep it as short as possible?
When you get into your story, the producer's story, where they start learning about your operations and how you got there, you could put longer testimonials there.
Sure.
Because all of this right now is we want it to be scannable, so it needs to be quick. And so if they give you like a 3-4 sentence testimony, ask them, is it okay if we shorten this down?
And then the 3 steps of how to do business with me, that's just uh, keeping it simple, and saying, here's the process of making a purchase, becoming a part of what we're doing here, and allowing us to help you solve these problems, right?
Yeah. Yep. What I really like is if your 3 steps can start from what takes the first step, very low risk. And then if you notice, my second one is placing an order. Okay. And then the third one is at the end, what it looks like after you've placed the order.
Yeah, the ideal world that they want to live in, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Very good. So, have we covered the idea of this marketing, the communication, the actual communication of the brand? Are there other pieces to this, other things that we need to make sure we're also pointing out, calling attention to?
There is one more critical. I mean, there's few, but I mean, it's not what I would call um, critical, but it's your call to action
Hmm.
on every single piece of your marketing, whether it's your website, emails, and I'm talking even if you're sending out a weekly or monthly email drip, brochure, everything should have a call to action in one form or another. And it could be what would be direct, like buy now. You click on that, or you like in a web email, you click on buy now, and it takes them right to your store, or the sign up, however your 3-step process is. And then there is the of lack, I guess we call it transitional. They're thinking about doing business, but maybe it's signing up for that free recipe or whatever it is they might have interest in. So that's your transitional. And then when they start getting that, we'll call it the monthly email from you. Inside that email has a direct call to action. Buy now, sign up now.
Mm-hmm.
But really understanding what that is and repeating it the same way each time.
So certain methods of communication are going to have different calls to action. Is that right?
You could, yes. Yeah. So you could have the transitional or the direct. Take action, purchase now.
Mm-hmm.
The transition, yeah. You can have, but if you have buy now, you want buy now the same. Don't change it up, especially if it's on a brochure.
Yep.
Like if on brochure you say, for us, if we have join now and then down later we have sign up for membership, no, they're on the same piece of marketing. They should be the same. Consistency.
Anything other? You said there are others, maybe not as critical as the call to action, but there are others. What would some of those other pieces of this marketing be?
You can state how by doing business with you, if they don't do business with you, what does their life look like? And then on the positive side, what does their life look like if they do business with you? So all you're really doing is restating the negatives, the problems, and the solutions a little differently is all.
So, what would you start with as far as the actual communication? Are there kind of just depends on the audience you're trying to reach, if it's going to be a brochure or a website or an email list or social media postings? Is there something that you would try to start with, or is that just going to depend on the audience you're trying to reach?
That is actually the second step. So you've identified your messaging. Now we can identify your strategy. What are you going to use to connect with your customer? It might be setting up at a farmer's market. And for me personally, if I'm at a farmer's market, I'm not necessarily there to sell. I'm there to market.
Hmm.
I'm trying to get my customer base contact information so we can start doing email marketing to them, drip on them. If you're going to a chef, I like a website when you're first talking to these people, and then put it on a business card, but a QR code on the back of your business card, because you especially the younger the people, they'll scan that and pull your website up while you're standing there. And so now you don't need to carry a brochure around because you've got your electronic brochure on the back of the business card. But really understanding how you get a hold of them, because yes, let's take chefs. Some chefs do go farmers markets? I'm going to guess most of them do not. The ones that I have talked to do not. I do know some of them do. If you're wanting to talk or sell through a local or a small grocery store chain, you forget my farmer's market. You need to find out corporate headquarters, who's the purchasing. Maybe depending on the chain, you actually want to focus on the sales department. Because what I have found is that purchasing will purchase whatever sales is trying to sell. So a lot of people go to purchasing first. No, go to sales first and find out what do they want to sell. But really for all of those, I think a website is an excellent tool, because now, like I said, you can do the QR code, scan it, and you don't have to carry around the paper brochures.
Yep. And one of the important things about a website is it's a platform you own. Whereas, we've all seen the whims of different platforms, and how those platforms can go away overnight. Your presence there can be gone overnight. And so whether it's an outage on their end or censorship or whatever the case may be, you're not guaranteed. You are actually a product. You're the product on a lot of those platforms. They're selling your information to other people to, justify having all the servers it takes to maintain those platforms. And so having your own platform that you own that can't be taken away from you and say, okay, we have lost access to this channel of communication, but we still have our own home base, and it's our website, and it's on all of our communications, and people know that they can go find us there and do business with us there and maintain that contact, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So we talked quite a bit about the marketing and a little bit about the strategy. Are there some high-level things about the strategy that you would say these are best practices? Again, people probably get tired of hearing me say this, but it's email. It's email. It sounds old. It sounds antiquated, but it's email. It's not just Facebook and Instagram, right?
Yes. And I would want to clarify on email. It's just not email. You're emailing people who have given you their email address.
Right.
And I guess we could actually back up a little bit as another component, whether it's on your website or how you do it, is you have that little carrot hanging out there. Well, it's terrible. My mind just slipped. I can't think of what I would call that.
Some kind of an offer, right?
Yeah, an offer to get them to give you their email, their cell phone number, so you can send them marketing. Boy, that's terrible. I can't. Must be getting late in the day.
That's all right.
But to have that on all of your marketing, and you can have multiple types of those offers. We call that the transition when they give you that. The lead generator, boy, that's going to bother me there. Lead generator, that's what you're looking for. Because if those people found your lead generator to be so good that they're willing to give you their email, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go spending money buying email lists.
Yeah.
You'll just end up in somebody's spam folder. And there are right ways to do email generation. There's a number of pieces of software out there that will help you do it. So don't try and reinvent the wheel. And for me personally, I can do email marketing comfortably, I believe, with up to 60 emails. So I don't think you need to go spending a lot of money for an email marketing, but you definitely want to be able to keep track of who you sent it to. And maybe it is something that you get a CRM system, but like I said, there's a ton of them out there.
Mm-hmm.
we could spend a whole hour just discussing the different ones out there and which ones don't go to and which ones I personally think would be okay. But
So are you trying to keep your email list at 60 or less, or what do you mean by that? You can comfortably operate with 60 emails?
before I need to actually go and purchase or spend the money on a CRM
Oh,
system
I see what okay.
to
Gotcha.
automate the emails. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it takes a lot of your time, but if you're looking at budgeting and things, I found for myself I can handle 60.
Sure. Gotcha.
And then the way you get those is talking with people, getting them to go to your website.
Yeah.
And like I said, depending on your customer is how you develop your strategy based on who your ideal customer is.
And like you said, again, that paradigm challenge, I think of when I'm at the farmer's market, I'm trying to market, I'm trying to talk to people, and get their email address, get somehow a touch point where we can communicate with them more than you're trying to actually sell product at the farmer's market.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I love that, that podcast with Alan. He says, I'm out there talking to people at the farmer's market. My neighbor's sitting back. Yeah, you got to be talking with people. And if you're an introvert, you're going to be exhausted at the end of the day, but it's something you need to do. You got to talk to people.
Yep. And then you are somehow probably have a way for them to sign up for the email list right there, or at least give them a business card with that QR code on it that they can go to the website and then sign up for the email list.
Yeah, because on your website, your call to actions that you identified, you'll have it on your website several times, not just once, but several times, and you will have at least 2 call to actions on that screen of their computer before they even scroll down. And don't hide it. Make it visible.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Okay, so there's the actual messaging, the words we're choosing and how we find those and connect with them. And then there's strategy. Are there more pieces to this that we should point out?
Once you have your strategy, the final piece is going to be your branding. And as I mentioned, that's the experience of becoming a customer, the experience of when you are the customer. That's all your branding. And so it's more than just selecting the right colors and the logo for your website, your brochures and things. Think experience. And that becomes your branding.
Experiments?
Experience. All right.
Oh, experience. Okay.
Their experience.
Yes. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And what are some of the things that you're thinking about there? Can help me understand.
Well, how easy was it to purchase? What's the quality of the product? If I had a problem with it, what was their customer service about? Like things like that. Everything that is going to resonate with them in the process of becoming your customer and while they are your customer. And before you know it, they become your marketing because it's word of mouth then, referrals.
And are there best practices there or tools to help learn kind of how to handle that experience on the customer side?
The best best way I have found is put yourself in the shoes of your customer. How would you want to be treated? How does this appear to you? If you can have just a small group, maybe we'll call it a peer advisory group, and say, how does this appeal to you guys? That'd be another good way to do it.
Sure. And that kind of like maybe those insiders or those people who've been with you the longest, run some of that stuff by them. Is that kind of where you might find those people?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You mean on your team?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as your peer advisory group, the people who've been your customers the longest, are they some of the people that you might run some of that stuff by, or is there another audience for that?
No, that's who I would run them by. The ones that you can trust, like Clay, I need your honest opinion. Because I know Clay, he isn't going to sugarcoat it. He's going to tell me if it's black, it's black. It's white, it's white. There's no gray.
Yep.
Those are the ones I would call your advocates. They're the ones who are going to sing your praises. They're the ones who will go that extra mile for you because they really truly believe in what you got.
And one way to find them, I would imagine, is when somebody becomes a new customer. How'd you hear about us? Well, so-and-so told me about you. Well, there you go. That's the advocate.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. In fact, that would be part of the process, is always finding out, how did you find out about us?
Yeah. And then that helps you figure out where to spend money on, different advertising or whatever, that helps you figure out how do you invest in finding new customers.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I guess I can't stress that enough, is to finding out how did they find you. And by going with your website, that can actually really capture a lot of data and tell you right away without even having to ask them. And so give this example is people find you more than just by farmers markets. And I'm thinking of one of our customers. They found us because they did a Google search for all naturally raised lamb, Yankton. Local, they're new to the area, and that's how they found us. And I don't fully understand SEO, search engine optimization, but I know it is important for people who are new to the area. They will find you.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that's the other reason why you go to farmers markets, is for the marketing.
So I think we spent the majority of our time on the marketing, kind of touched on the strategy and the branding piece of it. And obviously could spend more time on strategy and branding. Are there other parts of this that you would want to point people out, or is it just another one of those things where there's three?
Actually, yeah, it's just another three. The big thing is, don't do your branding before you do the messaging and the strategy.
Yep, for sure.
Otherwise, you might just be throwing money down the hole if you don't have those two figured out.
Yep. Very good. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Again, it's like the Bible's true. Fundamental reality of the universe is three: Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And then the other thing, love your neighbor as yourself. Put yourself in their shoes. Figure out how you would want your experience to be from the brand perspective.
Yeah.
There's some more connections there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, very good, Matt. How can people get in touch with you and work with you to help develop some of these things?
They can actually go to the website, dakotagrowth.biz.
We'll have links to that in the show notes page for today. So, Matt, thanks for your time today.
All right. Appreciate it. And thanks for having me on. It's been, I've enjoyed it.
Always a pleasure. Very good stuff there with Matt. Really appreciate his perspective and just the way that he talks about and thinks about these things as far as communication and branding and those things. And again, if you wouldn't mind, please just go take that survey. Take you a couple of minutes to go through there and click some options and tell me a little bit, and the advertisers a little bit more about yourself and what it is you do and what it is you like to hear on the podcast and those kinds of things. So really appreciate that. Coming up next on the Working Cows podcast, I'm going to share with you a talk that my family and I gave to the North Dakota Association of Soil Conservation Districts annual meeting, and really appreciated my family jumping in on this, and it turned out to be a really fun opportunity. So look forward to sharing that with you, coming your way real soon on another episode of the Working Cows podcast. We'll see you then.
We invite you to visit workingcows.net to subscribe to the show via iTunes or Stitcher. You'll also find detailed show notes pages, resources from our guests, and the industry leaders who have influenced them. For more ideas on putting your cows to work for you in a more profitable way, tune in next week.